Okay, so what I've got here today is my AFL fantasy team for 2022. So this is a final team reveal, and unless there's some surprise selections or some surprise non-selections, I'm not really expecting any changes. So we've got obviously the remaining salary cap, and I'll go through line by line. So in defence, Jack Crisp, durable. He's going to play quite a heavy midfield role, so I'm not expecting too much change in terms of his average from last year. It's possible with Collingwood likely to play less of a possession game, maybe there's a slight drop off, but look, at the end of the day, he's a pretty safe guy, I think, to have in my back six. Lachie Whitfield, underpriced, durability issues, but yeah, look, he could be the highest scoring defender this year, so I'm not missing that upside. Jaden Short, terrific during the preseason, both practice game and Amy, fantastic, like him. The first difference to my SuperCoach team is the Justin McInerney pick. So fits well within my salary cap, but yeah, ultimately with AFL Fantasy, I found I didn't quite have as much money it felt like to play with. So yeah, basically it meant McInerney was one of the guys that I ended up with. And look, seeing what he did during the Amy match, yeah, I'm really comfortable with his scoring. He could score something similar to possibly even a Dawson from last year for Sydney. So, yeah, I think there's definitely some upside for growth there. And then I've gone Hewitt and Sicily, who should be quite popular picks. So Hewitt, of course, is going to play a prominent midfield role for Carlton. And then you've got Sicily, who underpriced given sort of the time missed last year. So, yeah, I think, again, he's going to go up in value, but I don't think he's necessarily a keeper, but he'll move me up to someone I think could be a possible keeper. So, yeah, I'm comfortable having that sort of strong back six. And very deliberately on the bench, of course, I've just gone the two rookies. So, why wouldn't I have McCartan on the field? Well, he's just had so many concussion injuries or issues over the years that, look, I just can't trust him for a field spot. And then De Koning was basically a case of, look, he's minimum priced, and it's just a case of possibly the best of a bunch of pretty ordinary options, to say the least. So, yeah, I would have preferred someone like maybe a Hinge if he was available at a cheap price, but yeah, look, that wasn't the case. So, but yeah, the defense rookies will be the area of struggle this year, so I would strongly suggest to any coaches out there, go very much minimalist in defense. If you need one rookie on the field, look, you can at a push, but yeah, I was very deliberate in ensuring I didn't need to field any rookies. So that was my personal take this year. So moving into the midfield now. So Jack Macrae's captain. Whether he's the highest scorer, who knows? But look, he's got an easy start to the season, and coming in a little bit cheaper than a Miller and a Steele is, I guess, somewhat attractive. So, yeah, and even a Jared Lyons, interestingly, costs a bit more, so I think he'll pretty comfortably outscore him. So, yeah, happy with the Macrae captaincy. And then from there, I'm looking at value. So Lachie Neale obviously had the down year last year. I'm expecting a full rebound, and he should be a top 8 scorer or thereabouts. So given the price point, very happy with that. Patrick Cripps, very much underpriced. He'll, at the very minimum, make money. So with Walsh missing the start of the season, Cripps is only going to rise. So, and I should be able to flip him at the end of the day. I'm expecting for a pretty high level premium. So happy with that. Matt Crouch, even more underpriced than Cripps, I would say. But there is that sort of durability risk. So there is that question there. But yeah, just at the price point, I can't ignore him. And look, if he gets hurt, well, big whoop, I can easily flip him out for someone else. But again, I'm not going to, I guess, miss out on that value, given I've obviously got the 2 trades to make every week. Matt Rowell, even more underpriced again. I think with Rowell, he will be a keeper in SuperCoach, but in AFL Fantasy, I don't believe that'll be the case. Just because with Rowell, he's just such a high percentage contested guy. And for the purposes of AFL Fantasy, look, he'll find a good amount where he'll make a lot of money, but he won't be a top 10 scorer, I can't foresee, for fantasy purposes. So, but yeah, look, put him in your team just for the cash generation, because yeah, look, seeing what he did in the Amy game, yeah, he was fantastic through that Gold Coast midfield. So Rowell's back. So get on him would be my tip. And then I've gone the 3 rookies on the field. So Horne-Francis, Dacos, Ward. They're all going to score a heap. They're all field worthy. So Horne-Francis, he's going to spend probably more time forward than midfield, but doesn't matter. He's just that good. He's going to score that much. If he can probably average, I'd say, probably 70, just for a quick estimate top of mind. And I'd be saying the same of Ward. He'll be good for a 70 as well. And then a Dacos, look, he could be pushing 90. So you've got all these guys who are going to score quite a lot for you. So no reason not to field him. Dacos, look, is going to be playing mostly across halfback, pushing through the midfield. But yeah, look, doesn't matter. Ward, even if he gets outside minutes, he'll still score well. But if he plays inside minutes, he's really going to hurt you if he's not both on your team and on your field. So yeah, get on all those three. And then from there, looking at the bench, so Cooper Stevens, the minimum price point helps him out. Just have to see whether he's named round one ultimately. And then Connor McDonald, look, again, one of the, I guess, less bad options for your bench. So again, just have to see if he's selected round one. If he is, look, he's an option I'm a bit more comfortable with than some of the others that are being discussed. And then with the rucks, so Grundy, he's my R1. I like the durability, so I prefer that, and plus the cheaper price point compared to a Gorn, who I think he probably slightly outscores in fantasy anyway. So I'm happy with that. English, look, he'll make me money, so again, I think he's underpriced. I don't think he'll be a keeper, and I don't think he'll be that top 6 scoring forward either, but there is the possibility that he rises enough in price where maybe I can just straight swap him into a Max Gorn at some point. So, and if not, I don't think he'll be far off that. So certainly for the cash generation and how it fits in the salary cap and fits within my rookie structures, I'm pretty happy with that pick. As someone who could be a top, I'd say probably 5 ruck this year, assuming he shoulders most of that sort of number 1 ruck load. Jack Hayes, like him for the bench, probably that better option at this stage, unless maybe a Sam Hayes sort of makes a surprise appearance for Port Adelaide. And then we've got the forwards. So Josh Dunkley, he's a clear-cut F1. He'll score up there with the top scoring midfielders this year. So it's just durability is the issue, but as long as he's healthy, hey, he's going to be good. And he's getting the CBAs in the Amy match, so I'm assuming that's only going to continue. So he's one where he should certainly be in the team. Coniglio, I gave maybe a Heeney a bit of consideration here, but yeah, look, Coniglio, even in fantasy, I would say is a bit underpriced as well. He looks fully back to his best, seeing him during the Amy. So yeah, he'll be a top 6 scoring forward. I feel pretty confident in saying, assuming he remains healthy. So yeah, very happy to have him in my team. Zach Butters, I think he'll be one of the very top scoring forwards. He could be possibly the second to Dunkley, I would be suggesting could be the case. So he's going to establish himself, I feel, this year as a really high-end midfielder, Butters. So yeah, you're getting in on really an underpriced premium at the end of the day. So yeah, definitely one for your team. But again, a bit like a Dunkley, there is the durability risk. Tristan Jerry, just have to make sure he's named round 1 and he's that number 1 ruck. I would imagine, given what he did in the preseason and how good he looked there, I think that's probably a way where you can play Goldstein a little bit more forward and you can have a Tristan Jerry through the ruck. So that's certainly how I'd play that, but we'll have to see what North Melbourne does. But yeah, if he's in that number 1 ruck role, he'll score really well and make you quite a lot of money. So he should be in most people's teams, I would have thought. Josh Rochelle, look, he's ready to go, played great footy in both the Amy match and the practice games. So yeah, he'll be a really good player for Adelaide this year. So very underpriced, being obviously a rookie. So get him in your team. Hugo Ralphsmith, yeah, really happy with this selection as well. And yeah, I think he'll establish himself basically as a regular for Richmond. Mostly, I'd say across halfback, maybe pushing up onto a wing. But yeah, I think he'll have a good year. Patrick Naish, they've got the jerseys wrong, is now obviously with West Coast. But yeah, look, with all the, I guess, absences for West Coast, if you want to put it that way, I think Naish is going to get a pretty clean run at it at the start of the year. And looking at what he did in the second half of that Amy match, assuming he's listed round 1, he's someone I'm pretty keen to have in my team, it's fair to say. Nick Martin, look, again, he came on second half for Essendon, so we'll have to see how that goes. But again, happy to have him in my team, and assuming he's round 1 listed, I think he'll score pretty well and be one of the better options there. And then I've gone Corey Durden for the bench. So just a case of, look, he was probably, I guess, the next best in terms of money-making scope. And ultimately, I don't really love a lot of the cheaper midfielders that are looking likely for round 1. So that influenced that quite a bit as well. But just for a few quick things that I did consider. So I did consider Gawn as an R2. So if I wanted the 2 premium rucks, that would most certainly be the way I'd go. I gave Steele strong consideration as a second premium mid. So if he fits your structure, great. I think he's a pretty solid selection. And you could even say the same of a Tuke Miller. I think he probably roughly maintains as well. So you've certainly got good options there. And in defence, I'd say Jake Lloyd. So again, just another case of didn't quite sort of fit from a monetary perspective, but he was certainly a strong consideration as possibly an alternative to whether it's a McInerney, maybe it's a Sicily. So there's some of the other players just top of mind that I also gave some consideration to.